There are 3 crossovers parked in a row at a dealer lot near me, and I want you to picture them. A RAV4 Hybrid, a CR-V Hybrid, and a Tucson Hybrid. Same size, same shape, same price within a couple $1,000s. Same promise on the window sticker. Great fuel economy, low emissions, the responsible choice. And if you walked down that row, kicked the tires, and sat in each one, you would swear they were the same machine wearing 3 different badges. They are not. Under the floor of those 3 vehicles are 3 completely different answers to the same engineering question. And one of those answers has a wear item hiding inside it that can cost you more than $6,000 when it lets go. Another one of them has been proven in taxi fleets to 500,000 miles on the original transmission. And here is the part that should get your attention. The title up there says worst and best, and I am going to give you a straight answer on both. But I will tell you right now, the worst hybrid system of these 3 is not a bad system. It is just the one carrying the most parts that wear out, the most parts that only a dealer will touch, and the shortest track record. That is a different thing than junk, and anybody who tells you one of these 3 companies builds junk hybrids is selling you a headline, not the truth. I have had all 3 of these systems apart on paper and in the metal. I know where every clutch, every gear, and every motor sits in each one, and in the next few minutes, you will too. You will know exactly which one to buy carefully, and which one to walk past. And stay for the part about the clutch, because there is one of these systems where a single clutch pack is doing a job the other 2 designs eliminated entirely, and nobody at the dealership is going to bring it up. Let me lay the foundation first, because without this, nothing else I am about to tell you makes sense. A hybrid is 2 power sources trying to turn one set of wheels, a gasoline engine, and at least 1 electric motor. That sounds simple, and it is not, because those 2 power sources could not be more different. A gas engine is miserable at low speed, wants to spin in a narrow happy band, and wastes most of its fuel as heat. An electric motor makes full twist the instant it starts turning and does not care. The entire art of building a hybrid, the whole game, is how you blend those 2 things together. And the fascinating part is that Toyota, Honda, and Hyundai looked at that exact same problem and came back with 3 totally different philosophies. Toyota threw out the transmission. Honda, most of the time, threw out the mechanical connection between the engine and the wheels. And Hyundai kept everything a normal car has and squeezed an electric motor into the middle of it. 3 roads up the same mountain. So let me take you through them, from the one I would rank last to the one I would rank first, and I will show you the machinery, the money, and the failure points in each. In last place, and hear me out before you head to the comments, the Hyundai system. Hyundai calls it TMED, which stands for Transmission Mounted Electrical Device, and once you forget the acronym, the idea is refreshingly easy to understand. Take a normal gasoline drivetrain, engine up front, 6-speed automatic transmission behind it, done. Now pull out the torque converter. That fluid coupling that normally sits between the engine and the gearbox, and bolt an electric motor in its place. Then put a small wet clutch between the engine and that motor. That is the whole trick. When the clutch is open, the engine is disconnected and the electric motor drives the car by itself through the 6-speed automatic. When the computer decides it needs the engine, it spins the engine up, matches its speed to the motor, and closes the clutch so both of them pull together. Same 6-speed gearbox shifting through the same 6 gears the whole time. There is one more player in this orchestra worth knowing about, a small belt-driven starter generator hanging off the engine. Its job is to spin the engine up to the exact speed of the electric motor before that clutch closes, so the handoff lands as softly as possible, and it doubles as a generator to top up the battery. The battery itself is a lithium-ion pack tucked under the floor, smaller and lighter than the old nickel packs Toyota built its reputation on. And so far, the packs themselves have not been the weak link in this design. The weak link is the choreography. 3 rotating machines, 1 clutch, and a computer trying to conduct all of it perfectly every few seconds for 200,000 miles. Now let me be fair to Hyundai, because there is real merit here. This design is cheap to build because it reuses a transmission the company already makes by the hundreds of thousands. It feels completely normal from the driver's seat, real gear shifts, real engine braking character, none of that rubber band sensation people complain about in other hybrids. It tows better than most rivals because there is a proper geared transmission doing the work. The Tucson Hybrid makes around 230 horsepower, which is more than the equivalent Toyota or Honda, and it still returns roughly 38 miles per gallon combined. And Hyundai backs the whole thing with a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain and hybrid battery warranty, which is double what Toyota gives you on the powertrain side. On paper, that is a strong package. So why is it last? Because of what I told you at the top. That clutch. Every single time this car transitions from electric driving to engine driving, which happens dozens of times on an ordinary commute, that wet clutch has to close while the engine and the motor are spinning. The computer tries to match their speeds perfectly before it clamps. When it gets it right, you feel nothing. When it gets it wrong, even slightly, the clutch pack absorbs a shock load. Owners describe it as a shudder, a bump through the seat, a hesitation when you ask for power at low speed while the engine is waking up. Roll through a parking lot at walking pace on electric power, press the accelerator, and there is a beat, sometimes an awkward one, while the engine fires and the clutch grabs. Cold weather makes it worse because cold transmission fluid is thick and slow. So the very first handoffs of a winter morning, engine cold, fluid cold, computer still learning the day, are exactly the ones most likely to land rough. And every one of those imperfect engagements is where friction material coming off the plates, a little at a time. It is the one component in this entire drivetrain that is consumed by the normal act of being a hybrid. Toyota does not have that component. Honda barely uses its version of it. Hyundai leans on it all day long. And here is where the money comes in. If that clutch wears to the point of damage, it lives inside the hybrid transaxle, and a replacement hybrid transaxle on these vehicles runs north of $6,000. Worse, because there are high-voltage components involved, most independent shops will not open one up. That job goes to the dealer, at dealer rates, on the dealer schedule. Inside the warranty, that is Hyundai's problem. At 140,000 miles, it is yours. Now, an honest correction, because this is where the internet gets Hyundai wrong in the other direction. You have probably heard horror stories about Hyundai transmissions, the shuddering, the lawsuits, the cars that would not move from a stoplight. Those stories are real. There was a class action filed back in 2016 over it, but they are about the dual-clutch transmissions in the turbocharged gas models. The hybrid does not use that gearbox. The hybrid uses the conventional 6-speed automatic, which is a far more proven piece, and plenty of owners on the forums will tell you the hybrid drivetrain has been the well-behaved one in the lineup. And credit where it is due, the Santa Fe and the Sonata have both taken top spots in their segments in J.D. Power dependability studies in recent years. Hyundai is not the company it was 15 years ago. So my verdict on this system is not that it is junk. It is that it carries a genuine wear item at its heart. It has the least real-world high-mileage history of the three, and its long-term repair costs live behind a dealer service door. That is enough to rank it third out of three, in a field where third still means a pretty good hybrid. In second place, Honda. And this one is my favorite to explain, because Honda's engineers did something that sounds completely backwards until the moment it clicks. In a modern Honda Hybrid, an Accord, or a CR-V, the gasoline engine mostly does not drive the wheels at all. Read that again. You are doing 40 miles an hour through town in a CR-V hybrid. The engine is running, and it is not connected to the wheels. It is spinning a generator. That generator makes electricity. The electricity feeds a big traction motor, and the traction motor turns the wheels. The car is behaving like a diesel-electric locomotive, or if you like, an electric car that carries its own gasoline-powered charging station around with it. Honda brands the current version eHEV, the older name was iMMD, and the mechanical layout is almost comically simple. 2 motors, 1 engine, and instead of a transmission, essentially a single fixed gear with a lock-up clutch. That clutch is the clever part. Driving the wheels through a generator and a motor is efficient in town, but on a steady highway cruise, it is wasteful, because you are converting mechanical power to electrical power and back again, and losing a slice at each step. Think of it like paying a currency exchange fee twice on the same trip. Every conversion takes its cut, and on a long, steady haul, those cuts add up to real fuel. So at cruising speeds, Honda closes a lockup clutch that couples the engine straight to the wheels through that one fixed ratio, like a car permanently in top gear, and the electrical path steps aside. The engine drives the wheels directly exactly when direct drive is most efficient, and stays out of the wheel driving business the rest of the time. The newest CR-V Hybrid actually carries 2 of these lockup clutches, 1 ratio for lower speeds and 1 for the highway, but the philosophy is unchanged. And notice what is missing from this whole description. No planetary blending device, no 6-speed automatic, no shifting, ever. Compared with the Hyundai, the clutch here has a far easier life because it mostly closes under gentle, steady-state cruising conditions rather than catching a firing engine at a parking lot crawl. Honda's position is that it lasts the life of the car, and so far the field data does not argue with them. If you are looking at a used one, the check is simple. Take it on the highway, hold a steady 60, and feel for the moment the engine couples in. It should be nearly invisible, a faint settling of the revs and nothing more. Any thump, any surge, any repeated hunting between electric drive and engine drive on a flat road at constant speed is the car telling you something, and it is a conversation you want to have before the money changes hands, not after. The result on the road is genuinely lovely. Smooth, quiet, quick off the line the way electric torque always is, and Honda tunes these things to feel more alert than the equivalent Toyota. An Accord Hybrid will return real-world fuel economy in the upper 40s, a CR-V Hybrid around 40 miles per gallon, and reliability surveys currently predict both of them to hold up better than the average new car. Fewer mechanical parts, fewer things to wear, a decade of the 2-motor system on the road since the 2014 Accord Hybrid introduced it. So why is Honda second and not first? Two reasons, and the first one is history, because I promised you honesty, and Honda's hybrid story did not start in 2014. It started years earlier with a system called Integrated Motor Assist, a thin electric motor sandwiched against the engine, and it went into cars like the Civic Hybrid of the 2000s. That system had a battery problem. The packs in the 2006 through 2008 Civic Hybrids in particular deteriorated early. Owners reported losing power, losing fuel economy, cars that struggled on hills, and a software update Honda pushed out to protect the batteries made the fuel economy worse. It ended in a class action settlement covering roughly 200,000 cars, valued at around $170 million. And one owner famously took Honda to small claims court by herself over the mileage claims and won nearly $10,000. Honda earned its scars in the hybrid business. The modern two-motor system shares nothing with that old design, and it deserves to be judged on its own record. But the fact remains that Toyota's system has close to 3 decades of continuous refinement on one core architecture, and Honda's current architecture has about 1. When I rank durability, unbroken track record is worth real points. The second reason is character under load. Because the engine in a Honda hybrid is usually just a generator, its speed is not tied to your road speed. Ask for hard acceleration up a long grade, and the engine spins up to wherever it makes power and sits there, droning, while the car gathers speed on electricity. Honda fakes some stepped ratios with software to make it sound more natural, and they have gotten good at it, but it is theater. Some people never notice. Some people never stop noticing. That is not a reliability flaw. It is a personality trait. But you should test drive one on a hill before you sign anything. Which brings us to first place. And if you have watched this channel for any length of time, you knew where this was going. But I want to earn the verdict rather than assert it. Because the reason Toyota wins is not the badge. It is a gear set the size of a dinner plate. In 1997, Toyota put the first Prius on sale, and at the heart of it was a device that has barely changed in principle since. They call it a power split device. It is a planetary gear set. Picture a tiny solar system made of steel. One gear in the center, the sun gear, several small gears orbiting around it, the planets, held in a carrier, and a ring gear with teeth on the inside wrapping around the whole arrangement. Now connect the engine to the planet carrier, connect a small motor generator to the sun gear, and connect the big drive motor and the wheels to the ring gear. Everything meshes with everything permanently. There is no clutch anywhere in the power path, no torque converter, no belts, no shifting gearbox. Nothing engages and nothing disengages ever for the entire life of the vehicle. The only way power flows changes is by varying how fast each of those 3 connection points spins, and that is done electrically, by the motor on the sun gear, under computer control, hundreds of times a second. Forget the jargon and think about what that means for wear. Every hybrid transition that hammers the Hyundai's clutch and every lockup event in the Honda is handled in the Toyota by 3 gears simply changing speed relative to each other while permanently in mesh, bathed in fluid. Starting the engine while rolling is the small motor spinning the engine up through the gear set. Engine off cruising is the engine's connection point simply turning at 0. There is no friction material anywhere in the system to consume. Mechanically, it is one of the most robust transmission concepts ever put in a passenger car. And the proof is not in a brochure, it is in taxi lines. New York cab operators have run Camry Hybrids past 500,000 miles on the original hybrid transaxle. Not a rebuilt one. The original. When I talk on this channel about honest engineering, engineering where the elegance of the design does the work instead of the service department, this is the single best example on sale today. And here is a detail that tells you how deep the simplicity goes. These cars do not have a reverse gear. There is no mechanism for one. When you select reverse, the drive motor simply spins backwards because an electric motor does not care which direction it turns. An entire chunk of machinery that every conventional transmission has carried for a century, gone, replaced by a line of software. The brakes tell the same story. Because the drive motor does most of the slowing by turning itself into a generator and pouring the energy back into the battery, the friction brakes barely work for a living, and it is routine to see these cars go 100,000 miles and more on the original pads. The design does not just avoid wearing itself out, it quietly stops wearing out the parts around it, and the rest of the system holds up its end. The current 2.5-liter engines Toyota pairs with this run some of the highest thermal efficiency figures of any gasoline engine in mass production, around 40% of the fuel's energy actually reaching the crankshaft, where an ordinary engine has historically wasted closer to 2/3. A current Prius returns 57 miles per gallon combined, which would have sounded like a misprint 20 years ago. The hybrid battery, the part everyone used to fear, is warrantied for 10 years or 150,000 miles. And when one finally does age out on an older car, an entire aftermarket has grown up around it. A dealer will charge somewhere between $3,500 and $5,000 for a new pack installed, but reputable independent hybrid specialists will put a remanufactured pack in a Prius for well under $2,000. And those specialists exist in nearly every city precisely because there are millions of these cars on the road. Scale is its own kind of insurance. Is the Toyota perfect? No. And I will give you the honest caveats. It is the least exciting of the three to drive. Under hard throttle, the engine flares and drones just like the Honda, and Toyota's tuning makes less effort to hide it. The oldest examples with nickel batteries do eventually need packs, and there are known wear points like the electric coolant pumps, and, on some earlier models, brake actuators that are not cheap. And the very numb, appliance-like character that makes it a flawless commuting tool means you will never once think about it fondly on a back road. It is an extraordinarily good machine, and a fairly boring car, and I think Toyota would take that trade every single time. So, there is your ranking. Toyota first, on the strength of a clutchless design proven across nearly 30 years, and taxi fleet mileage. Honda a close second, with the most pleasant system to actually live with, and a strong modern record, docked points for a shorter history on the current design, and an ugly chapter on the old one. Hyundai third, not because the car is bad, but because its architecture keeps a consumable clutch at the center of the action, hides a $6,000 assembly behind a dealer-only door, and has the fewest miles of history behind it. Now here is the part of this that actually matters, because those three designs did not fall out of the sky. Each one is a business decision wearing an engineering costume. Toyota's system exists because in the 1990s, the company made a bet, spent a fortune on a clean sheet design with no transmission in it, and then spent 3 decades refining one idea until the cost came down, and the reliability went up. They could afford patience. Hyundai's system exists because adapting a 6-speed automatic you already manufacture is enormously cheaper than inventing a planetary hybrid drive from nothing, and it got them a competitive hybrid to market fast, with horsepower numbers that look great in an ad. The clutch is the mortgage on that shortcut. and the person who pays the mortgage is the second owner, out of warranty, at the dealer service counter. And understand what a wear item is from the manufacturer's side of the desk. A component that consumes itself through normal use is not only a compromise, it is future revenue. There is no money for anybody in a sealed planetary gear set that runs 500,000 miles. There is a great deal of money in a hybrid transaxle that only franchise dealers are equipped to open. I am not telling you anyone sat in a meeting and planned your repair bill. I am telling you that when a design choice saves the company money up front and earns the dealer network money down the road, nobody in that building has much incentive to question it. The costs flow downhill and you live at the bottom of the hill. And that, more than any spec sheet, is the thing I want you to walk away with. When you understand how a machine actually works, where the wear happens, what engages, and what merely spins, you stop shopping with your eyes and start shopping with your head. The 3 cars in that row at the dealer look identical. The window stickers look identical. It is only down at the level of gears and clutches, the level nobody puts in the brochure, that they become 3 completely different long-term propositions. That knowledge used to be normal. Your grandfather's generation could tell you exactly what was inside their transmission because they had been inside it. Somewhere along the way, we were encouraged to stop asking, to treat the drivetrain as a sealed mystery and the payment as the only number that matters. Every hour you spend learning what is actually under the floor is an hour spent taking that ground back. So here is what I want you to do with all this. If you are shopping for a hybrid to keep for 15 years and run into the ground, buy the Toyota system, a Prius, a Camry, a Corolla Hybrid, a RAV4 Hybrid, and do the boring maintenance on schedule. If you value how the thing feels every day and you plan a normal ownership span, the Honda is a completely rational choice. And the nicer companion, just take that highway grade test drive first and, on a used one, stick to the 2 motor cars from 2014 onward and leave the old integrated motor assist Civics to the hobbyists. If the Hyundai is calling to you and the price and the equipment often make a strong case, buy it new or certified so that 10-year warranty is working for you. Drive your test car gently away from a stop in traffic and feel carefully for shutter on the electric-to-engine handoff and budget with your eyes open for life after 100,000 miles. And whichever one you buy, change the transaxle fluid on a sane interval even if the schedule shrugs. Because fluid is cheap and hardware is not. Do that, and a year from now, you will be the person in the office parking lot who actually knows why their fuel bill dropped, instead of the person crossing their fingers at the service counter. Tell me in the comments which one of these 3 systems is sitting in your driveway, how many miles it has on it, and whether it has ever needed anything beyond fluids and filters. And if you have a Hyundai Hybrid, I especially want to hear whether you feel that clutch handoff or whether yours is seamless, because real owner miles are worth more than any press release, and I read every single comment on these videos. That feedback is half the reason I keep making them. If this saved you from an expensive guess, subscribe, because next time I am finally opening the file I have been threatening to open for months. The one about transmission fluid that is filled for life. The factories seal the box. The schedule says never touch it. And the transmissions keep dying at 120,000 miles anyway. I am going to show you exactly whose life that fluid is actually filled for. And I promise you, it is not the transmissions. Until then, remember that the best hybrid system is the one you understand before you sign for it. Somebody counted on you not looking under the floor. prove them wrong.